Good afternoon, tubers. I am bored as hell. I was going to do some chainsaw work, but it's not bad now, but I know in 5 seconds I'm gonna get rain. We had a big rain thing pass through. I really don't feel like having to stop in between weather. Unless it holds off for a bit. I don't know. And I was gonna go to my grandfather's and get his generator going, but I can maybe do that Saturday morning after breakfast. I'm going to Marion County spaghetti dinner thing they got going on in Salem, or down in that area. And so, if anybody in the Portland area has Saturday off, I'll be there. Maybe see if I can't share a link. Oh yeah, I think I can get the link to their thing. I'll put it in the description of this video. So if anybody wants to meet me there, I will be there with my truck. And that'll probably be the last time, the last drive that it'll get with the 4-speed in it, because Sunday I'm putting this whole piece up under there. In fact, right about now, what I'm looking at is, since I got this all bolted together, and yeah, put together, I'm going to get an overall length from the bell housing to the end there and see what we are overall length as compared to the 4-speed, so I can kind of figure out an estimate of what I need the drive shaft shortened to. The other thing I'm going to do is probably block the front wheels, jack the back of the truck up to where it's got about a 6-inch lift. You know, you'll want to jack it up so you get full droop of the rear suspension, and then measure your drive shaft length. But I'm just going to get an overall length of the transmission and what I got going on under there, and see what we're looking like. And since it's dry over there, I'm going to take that cross member and put it up against the factory one and see if that. I'm thinking that's going to move back way farther. The center section will move back farther than the center section on this cross member that's on there, which I'll show you in a moment. So what that means is I should be able to just drop that in there, bolt it, use the factory bolt holes. I don't know if the gussets I have will work. We'll find out if they do. If they do, then we'll put them back in there. I have all the bolts for it. I have all the bolts that came from this transmission. They're the same for the 4-speed, you know, bell housing and whatnot, but I have all the bolts. I have proper bolts. I was kind of missing a few there, and there's some weird ones that people use when they mess with that 4BT. So yeah, anyways, so I'm gonna do it here in a moment. So I put together a little wiring harness here. It kind of already had one, but it had like an extra deal going on to a Speedo, which would normally be here. As you can tell, I don't have a thing there for that, which I don't care about because I'm running GPS for my Speedo. Yeah, but I just got done armoralled this. Got done painting this. It's actually cured. So I got a painted shifter, brand new 5-speed shift knob. I cleaned up the boot and put it back in its little thing there. We're all rebuilt in the shifter area. We're rebuilt in the transmission. Good in the transfer case. Got this going on. That guy over there is getting painted. That's gonna go here. And then I got a little vent hose. I have a whole bunch of vacuum hose from the crew cab when we gutted all the useless stuff out of it. And then just taped up some of the wires. They're zip tied here, so they have there's something to hold on to. I'm gonna zip tie here, and it's plugged in here and taped up, zip tied. And then I put these separate. This is the reverse wiring. You can basically just solder these two up to the 2 wires on the truck, and then your reverse lights will work. And then this is the 4x4 light. I believe one wire gets power, and then the other wire goes to a light in the dash, which I don't have the light there obviously because that's a 2-wheel drive, but I do have on the dash bezel the 4x4 insert in there. So all I gotta do is just rig up a little light bulb in there, which I'm probably gonna do an LED or something. Put that in there and then hook those wires up, maybe like a little 5 amp fuse or something. And then so that way when I pop her into 4 high like that, or even 4-wheel low, the light on the dash will say, hey, you're in 4-wheel drive. So that will be pretty neat. Look at that grimy old 4-speed. I can't wait to get the thing on it. Ew, what is that? I think it's, I'm not actually worried about that. I'm getting new U-joints. Yeah, I'm just getting new U-joints. I don't know how much shorter drive shaft. That'll be nice. So I think it's gonna have to be about here cut off. Look at that, it's all nasty, leaky. I don't want no freaking leaks. I'm so tired of it. You know, the engine's pretty good for the most part, but the transmission's like, ugh. And then back here I couldn't get an output shaft seal, and then this thing sticks out too far. So yeah, I'm hoping that's still good up in there, because then they can just reuse that, just put a new U-joint on there. And I think all that stuff's gonna stick out about here. So I'm hoping that because I have a longer wheelbase than the Bronco, then I don't have to get a double ender on here. And that would keep the cost down of getting the drive shaft shortened. I don't think it would cost that much. I think I'm looking at maybe $150 to shorten it. That's what I feel like I'm going to be spending. And that's, you know, including new joints and a balance. So, and they don't have to paint it. I don't care. I can do that. But yeah, so that's the drive shaft. So here's the reverse wire. This is all nasty. I'm going to take all this out, and I'm going to probably just maybe cut it off up here somewhere at the truck, and then it's going to end up going up that way, and it'll be a little bit nicer and won't have wires hanging off my crossmember. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to use the gussets. In fact, somebody said that they took them out of their truck and they didn't have any problems with it, so I think we're just going to take it out. I don't think they really do anything, really. I am really happy to see that speedo cable go. That thing is all melted up and it's just disgusting. I don't want no speedo cables. I cut the one out of the dash already, and I just need to get this out of here and we could go. And I put all this together when I had the C6 in here. The C6 didn't have a plug for the reverse wire, so I cut it off, and then I just took the plug wire that was on the truck that this 4-speed was in. But yeah, it's a chunky transmission. It definitely is held up to this 4BT I got in here. Not a doubt about that. I beat the hell out of this transmission. It's still doing all right. And this seal is from the C6. And it's got a hole in the top of it. Yeah. And this 4-speed, I think I'm gonna sell. Probably go maybe $100 or something. Yeah, $100 or something. I don't think you really need that much. So I'm gonna do the tape measure job under here and see where we're at. So the whole thing, transmission, from the bell housing adapter, like right at the face, to about here is where my output shaft seal is going to be. And that's 50 inches. So we basically have to have just over a foot of this drive shaft lopped off. So I think what they just need to do is probably, let's see, this is where I figured, maybe about here, trim off, and then put this end back on, and then it'll all work out. But I'll measure it out for real. I might even just take this yoke, pop it out, set it where I want it, because I want this to have some movement. I think I want this to be about here into the transmission, maybe a little bit more, or actually even back to where it was factory, which is right here. we'll do that, and then measure how long the tube needs to be, and then just have them cut it down, replace the U-joints and balance it, and I think we'll be good to go. And so we're gonna be about here. Is that right? Transmission mounts here, and then you got the transfer case. Yeah, I think, yeah, probably about here. I don't know. We'll look into it some more when we get to tearing it apart. Figure out how much exactly needs to come off this drive shaft. So, well, you see that cloud coming in? This is why I'm not out back chainsawing. That was gonna roll right over me. I keep thinking there's a big, nice snap, crackle, pop, and it's just my neighbor across the street moving the yard debris thing. I'm like, oh, thunder! And then it's like, nope. So that looks pretty cool. That's painted. It looks a little bit better than it did. Painted the shifter, and yeah, that was great. So what I did is I just sanded the thing down. I taped over the knob and then sanded all this down with some this is 120. This is stuff I used. 220. Sanded it down and then just brake cleaned all the stuff off and blew it off with air. And then what I did is I just painted the hell out of it. Just nice thin coats. I don't like doing that because then it runs. So and it's the same paint I used for the shifter here. So once all that's in the truck, it's gonna look great. The only problem is I have my custom shifter wooden thing, so it's like this big around, and the carpet won't go under here now. It'll be open. So I think I'm gonna have to make like get a piece of trim from Home Depot or something and cut some 45s in it and make a little decorative piece to go under that. That might have to happen. So I got all the nuts and bolts and stuff that came with this transmission. I sprayed a whole bunch of brake cleaner in there, and I'm just trying to get all the crud off because I want all this stuff to go in nicely so I can get a good torquing on it. I'm also using Loctite stuff with this. A lot of the stuff I put together, like these bolts here, they go to the T-case, have Loctite on them. The bolts that hold the 4x4 shifter in, that's Loctite as well. And then once the shifter stuff once this is in the truck and I can put the shifters in, the fasteners for that are gonna be Loctited as well. Man, brake cleaner is some pretty harsh stuff. I mean, I just sprayed a little bit in there and just tumbled the stuff around for about 5 minutes. Just kept and then tumbling it by hand. And yeah, I got these pretty damn clean. A lot better than scrubbing it. I mean, look at all the threads are fairly clean now. These are the ones I was worried about. Now look at these, are sparkly clean. And what else? So once it goes in, then we can figure out how long the drive shaft needs to be, or how much needs to be taken off it. And then I'll probably end up using the drive shaft shop that Todd Boak used for his truck. And hopefully just shortening it and new U-joints isn't going to cost a whole lot. And of course the balancing. I'm hoping maybe $200 or so. You know, if that's the case, then I can have that done probably next week. Did some measurements. It looks like the drive shaft needs to be locked about a foot or so. I'll probably figure all that out, like for sure what my measurements need to be once all that is put in the truck. But it looks like a little bit over a foot. And so I called the drive shaft shop, 6 States in Salem, and I'm just asking, you know, a baseline quote, and they're real straightforward about it. Drive shaft shortening, $110, $120. That includes the balancing. But I asked them for new U-joints, so I think that's gonna run me a hair over $150. So that's about what I was expecting. So that was really nice. So I guess my hope is that Sunday I get this thing installed, mounted up, and ready to go for the drive shaft measurement, and then Monday, then I'll go to, I'll probably have to take Mom's car, just drive out to Salem and drop off the drive shaft, tell them what I need done, and put, you know, because I want new U-joints. I want brand new joints, because the ones I have now are pretty old and the seals are starting to go out, and I think one of them, it looked like we saw a little bit of greasy rust coming out of it, so I want to get new U-joints. Yeah, I think I'll be able to drive this thing after get the drive shaft in, and we'll be able to break in the transmission. I've got about 3/4 of a tank right now, maybe just over that, so I got plenty of fuel to drive around. So I'll need to get maybe 4 bottles of ETF. I'm just gonna get some regular ATF for that guy, and then I'll need maybe 3 bottles of synchro mesh for this. And then I've already got a little bit of grease to put on this guy here and right here. I'm gonna put a real light coat on that. I have to get the slave for that. I'll probably get that tomorrow on my break at work. And then I think Adam's getting me the clutch line. So when he gets that, then we'll be able to hook the hydraulics up. And then we'll be ready to go. I've got a transmission mount here. This is actually from Todd's Bronco. This one's still good. I'm just going to put that on there right now. Just an FYI, I did spend about $630 on this 5-speed. Just getting it rebuilt and ready to go. A new one from AutoZone, for an example, would be about just over $1,000, because I'd be eating a core, because I don't think they're going to take my 4-speed. So right now I paid about $630 for the transmission. The transfer case was actually donated to me from Scott, who helped me rebuild the transmission. And of course we actually traded for an axle. I gave him an 8.8 and he gave me the transfer case, so it was a straight trade. That worked out great for the both of us. He didn't need the transfer case, needed the axle, so worked for me, and it bolted to the 5-speed. So and I didn't spend any money on it. Well, I spent $17 for sealer, which I probably may have used a little too much, but it's sealed up, so that's good to go. So $630 total is what I spent. That includes new counter shaft, new nuts for the main and counter shaft. I got a new input shaft, the rebuild kit, and a reverse slider. Now it'll probably be another $200 or $300 in for a drive shaft and a clutch slave and hydraulic line. But Adam's actually going to be getting me the hydraulic line because I'm making him do it. And then the slave cylinder I just ordered, I should be getting it sometime next Tuesday. The drive shaft I'm going to get shortened Monday, or send it off to get shortened. I hope I can get it back in at least a day or two. And then it would just be getting fluids, which I think I need 6 quarts total of fluid, 3 quarts of synchro mesh, and then 3 quarts of ATF. So yeah, I should be rocking a 5-speed next week. I can't wait. So I just thought I'd give you a little tip how much I spent on my 5-speed swap. Just under $1,000. And I got all kinds of extra stuff with the transmission. Just getting the transmission, and I have the receipt here for it. Let's see. There's a $40 core on that. I'm thinking about maybe just taking my 4-speed back and getting the $40 back, or selling it for $100 and maybe doubling it. $172.46. They just charged me for the transmission and the core. And everything else, I got a cross member and a whole bunch of other stuff to go with it for free. So it was like, dude. Hell yeah. So anyways, now that's the end of this video.